Okay, hello. We are back again for some Cursed Site. Alright, we left off in some sad things happened in the last episode. I mean, we had a death, and it was actually quite sad. I really liked the character. Sasa was really I thought it was a good character. I liked her. I mean, she kind of got a guy and Mion kind of together in a way. You could almost say there could be the possibilities if situations were different that those two could get together in a way. Now, I am interested to see what happens here. And as I said last time, I thought that the other person who has a similar power to not Guy, but Mion, is Guy's sister. That is what it is, because if you looked in the past episodes that we recorded, Guy's sister was taken in after the death of their parents, which they never truly explained how they died. She was taken in by the temple, similar to how Mion lives at the temple. So I think that this just might be Guy's sister that we're going to meet at some point. Now, whether it is or not, well, I guess we'll have to find out. I'm actually quite excited to see what it is. 3 days have passed, with Mion and I barely exchanging words. The more we spoke, the more it would hurt when the time came for us to part ways. At last, the moment for Mion to escape had arrived. This temple had been holding her captive since childhood, but her sentence would end tonight. As I opened the doors into Mion's room, a part of me still wished she would change her mind. I even considered jamming the corridor with a stack of tables to block her in. This could all be a trap from Westaria. Most important, I wanted to keep Mion to myself. Mion to himself? I don't know how you would actually take that, but kind of an intimate word there, I think. Like, maybe he really does like Mion. I entered Mion's room to find her pacing around the carpet, looking anxious to carry out her plan. Sasa, please watch over us. Please watch over her. I thought hard about what to say as farewell. 100 ideas crossed my mind, yet now I stood here in silence. Anything I said would just become another burden on her. I was already carrying enough of those on her shoulders. I poked my head out the door to check for guards. As I had predicted, the corridor looked clear. Having served here for so long, I knew exactly when the guards liked to sneak in their naps and cigarette breaks. I gave Mion the signal and she tiptoed out of her room. Mion trotted down the corridor faster than I've ever seen her move. This would be the last I saw of her, so I burned the sight into my memory. My tongue froze, preventing me from saying a word, but I at least whispered goodbye in my mind. Mion peered over her shoulder. Having been around her for all these years, I could feel her impatience just from the way she cocked her head. She waved me over like a pet that had fallen behind during a walk. If Mion had wanted me to join her, she could have told me beforehand to avoid all this heartache. Maybe the thought of telling me made her blush, or perhaps in her mind, me coming along seemed as natural as the sun rising at dawn. I think she might have just thought you were going to be coming along. I mean, she doesn't have Sasa to rely on anymore, so you're the only other person she's really close with, I think. In this temple, the king disposed of servants as casually as I took out the garbage. Mion's gesture made me feel needed again. Once she turned her head, I let my lips curl into a grin. As we fled, Mion kept glancing over her shoulder as if worried I might stop following her. What a silly thought. Mion hurled fruits at me over the smallest things, but she also kept my days interesting. I had nowhere else to really go. Mion and I arrived at the temple entrance. A pair of guards stood by the doors, barred our path to freedom. These two usually snuck out for beer at this hour. They just had to pick today to act so diligent. Mion hid behind a pillar, with her shoulders slumping so much I feared they might fall off. I locked fingers with her and pulled her out of hiding. After letting go of her hand, I marched toward the guards. Mion tugged onto my sleeve as she trailed me. "Keep your head straight," I said. Once I drew close enough for the guards to hear us, I spoke in a loud voice so they would hear me. "Get a move on! King Lok wanted us back by midnight." Mion let go of my sleeve and grunted. "Relax. If anyone slows us down, I'll make sure the king knows about it." I resisted the urge to smile. For someone who never went out, Mion had some serious street smarts. I knew she would catch on and play it cool. The guards stepped out of our way, allowing us to squeeze right past the gates. They mumbled to each other as we passed them. Thank the goddess these goons were too stupid to figure out our lie. Once Mia and I reached Melody Way, I strutted along with my head held high. First Mion showed she needed me around. Then I managed to pull off a stunt like this. The glory got to my head and I let out a chuckle. "That's only worked because they're too afraid to speak up against me," Mion said. "Well, you do have a scary temper." Mion glanced toward an apple tree to the right, as if contemplating whether she should pick a fruit and throw it at my forehead. Lucky for me, she decided against it and walked on. Come to think of it, those two guards we fooled might end up being killed by Lok for their blunder. The realization made me feel guilty for ever celebrating. We passed several villagers in Melody Way, but none of them approached us. In fact, they all swerved away to keep their distance. Mion seemed unfazed, but I could only imagine how much? I think it's that she shouldn't even be there. How much she... Wait, I'm confused as hell, that sentence. But I could only imagine how much it broke her inside. I'll just say how it is. That's the part of the sentence that confused me as hell. There's definitely something wrong there. Mion and I left Melody Way at last. With no lanterns to light our path, we trudged along the bush road in darkness. As tree branches crunched beneath our shoes, I felt Mion's arm brushing against mine. The trees enveloped us, had twisted branches that resembled broken arms. This place reeked of mud, and with ravens croaking all around. I actually missed those ringing bells from the village. I wanted to make some manly vow about protecting Mion, but I probably shriveled worse than she did. In the distance, I could hear the growling of beasts. At this rate, we might be eaten by predators before the Westarians could spring any traps on us. A breeze whistled by, and after a sneeze, I turned to Mion. "Are you cold?" Mion shook her head. "Your nose is running." I should have stolen some spare clothes from the temple on my way out. Once Mion looked away, I quickly wiped a sleeve across my nose. Gross, but it'd be eating snot. Leaves rustled in a bush to the side. Mion yanked me away from the noise before I could do the same for her. It had better just be some rats crawling past. Anything bigger would have to face my broomstick of fury. Hold on. Crap. I left my broom in the temple too. His broomstick of fury. A flock of baby birds scattered from the bush, and I confessed I jumped more than Mion had. Way to be a knight, Sir Guy. So, these are the two. Okay. She has something pretty much similar. She looks younger than Mion. Just look at it. From one of the looks of it. She looks like she might be younger. But they brought her right there. Wow. A pair of figures emerged from where the birds had fled. One was the Westarian from 3 nights ago. Beside him stood a girl in a blue dress decorated with flowers. The guy did say someone wanted to meet Mion here, so he kept at least that part of his promise. The girl standing before us donned a veil much like Mion's. If it served the same purpose, that meant she too possessed the cursed sight. She must be the one who had blocked Mion's power and allowed Sasa to die. With my hands coiled into fists, I stomped toward this witch. But the other Westarian jumped into my path. "I invited the girl here, not you." Before I could argue, Mion responded. "My name's Mion. not girl. Guy's my most trusted companion. If he's unwelcome here, then I'm leaving as well. I pounded a fist against my chest. That's right, I'm her most trusted companion. Mion elbowed me in the ribs, knocking that swagger right out of me. Still, my heart pounded over those words she had uttered. Her most trusted companion. I wondered if Mion's cheeks were flushed under that veil. Mion whispered into my ear. That girl has power similar to mine. I can sense it simmering within her. Her name is Zolu, not girl, the Westarian boy said with a smirk. Right back at you. Did this guy see himself as some kind of wisecracker? More like an ass-cracker, if you asked me. No need to be aggressive, Neek, the girl named Zolu said. Judging from her voice and height, she must be no older than 10. From this point on, Mistress Mion and Sir Guy are our friends, Zolu said. Never before had I been addressed in such a polite manner, but it would take much more than that to win my forgiveness. So maybe she's not his sister. I was hoping it would be like that or something. Or as far as we know, not. Maybe they changed her name. I don't know if he ever mentioned how old she was. Lulu lowered her head at Mion, who returned the greeting. I resisted the urge to yank Mion's head back up. This girl's the reason Sasa's gone. There's no need to treat her like royalty. We came here to get away from violence, Mion said, her tone exhausted as if speaking to a child. In the past half hour she elbowed my ribs and wanted to throw an apple at me. But sure, peace. Got it. The Westarian boy gripped his sword's hilt. Zilla referred to him as Neek, so I should start doing the same. You can't touch Zolo if you tried, Neek said to me. I sense an aura coming out of you. According to fairy tales, warriors could detect each other by their auras. Could the rumors be true? If so, Neek must be one of the strongest. On the other hand, Mion had me by her side. Legend said I once broomed the entire temple in a single afternoon. Nobody ever dared mess with me. Wow. Trying to make a little funny there, are you? Like, there was once a legend about me, too. I'm the best cleaning man around. Neek began to unsheath his blade. If you keep disrespecting Zolo, the baby birds from earlier soared back into the scene. This time they brought their parents with them. The birds started pecking Neek, pulling his hair as if they were worms. He did scare away the baby birds just to make his grand entrance, so he probably deserved it. Wow, hey, what the? He unsheathed his sword and swung it at the birds. The blade slipped off his butterfingers, almost slicing off his leg in the process. Zola waved her arms at the birds and they scattered off. Zulu stroked Neek's back to calm him. She covered her mouth a second late, and I caught her giggling. No need to hide it. I for one laughed so much that I could no longer breathe. Mion, thank you for punching my arm to calm me, or I might have choked to death. Neek picked his sword back up. Enough fooling around. Let's head back to camp before those birds come back. I don't think the birds are going to be coming back, man. Neek and Zulu walked off along the bush path. That Neek might be a clown, but I must nonetheless raise my guard. This could all still be an act, and we might be stumbling into a Westarian trap. Mion stood still for a while, but eventually followed Neek and Zulu. With a snort, I trailed the three of them up to campsite. The one Neek and Zulu had supposedly set up earlier. Mion sat onto the grass beside the campfire. She stretched her palms toward the flame and let out a long breath. Like she too had been struggling against this cold. Mion gestured me to sit beside her, and I did asked. Inside this frozen forest, the flames felt as pleasant as resting on Sasa's lap. Still let me do that once a year on my birthdays, so I would know. Neek walked into a tent erected near the campfire and came out carrying a flower-patterned towel. "Here," he said, placing the towel over a patch of dirt near the fire. Zulu sat on the towel to avoid dirting her dress. Jeez. Neek's gentleman meter almost reached puke level. When Zulu settled in, Neek seated onto the dirt beside her. Zulu turned to face Mion. "I too have fled from West Tarian's temple, Mistress Mion. No wish to oppose you any further. Doing so would only destroy us both." "You're a little late," I said, Mion pinching my finger in an attempt to stop me, but I spoke on. "Thanks to you, Sasa is dead. You killed our closest friend, our only friend." Zulu surged to her feet with quivering lips, her body shielding the moonlight behind her. Had I gone too far with my words? This whole time, I had been stressing over Neek and his sword. I had forgotten Zulu could put me in a body bag just by lifting her veil. Maybe she has something to say. Or maybe she's sorry. I mean, you think about it, maybe she didn't mean for that to happen. But instead of doing that, Zulu dropped onto all fours as if paying tribute to a goddess. "I'm sorry, really sorry," Zulu sobbed. Mion folded her arms at me as if I had been the bully. She might really be sorry. I mean, those tears. I don't know if she's a master of deception, but she's probably not. Those might be real tears. She might really be sorry. Zulu and Mion both had the cursed sight, but they sure acted differently. Mion would never break down like this, but it made me think perhaps she was bottling just as much guilt inside of her. I doubt Mion is happy. She probably has the understanding, but she's just better at hiding it. She's older too. Maybe she's learned, because she might have had this ability longer than Zulu. Neek tried to lift Zulu up, but she shook her head and refused to rise. "I've done something unforgivable to these two. It's only right that they would hate me." Seeing Zulu like this evaporated my anger. Now I stood frowning, sure of what to say. Sasa once told me Mion never asked for her powers. It must have been the same case for Zulu. Mion put her hands on Zulu's shoulder. "Your ruler must have forced you to resist my spells. It's the same way with me. Guy is from West Taria, so he understands all well. Right, Guy?" Judging from Mion's tone, if I said no, she would throw a pineapple at me. At least that fear helped me make up my mind. Sure, I guess. "Oh, thank you. Thank you so much," Zulu sniffed as she rose. "Mistress Mion, Sir Guy, you are both too kind." He handed Zulu a handkerchief, and she used it to dab away her tears. You two told us to come here, so I hope you have a plan," I said. Neek and Zulu exchanged a look that told me they were as prepared as a baby tossed into a bullfight. "Rest easy," Neek's voice deepened as he said this. In fact, his entire demeanor seemed to have shifted, excluded confidence that outshone the moonlight. "I'll think of something. My word is gold. What I'm seeing here in the picture-wise, this don't look like the same pictures that I saw before." It looks like he got older or something. Mion and Zulu fell silent. Did Neek's charm enthrall them? If I pulled off their veils, their eyes might be sparkling like the starry sky. Goddess, at this rate, even I might end up on the Neek bagwagon. I don't know, the art looks different. I think it's a little bit too of a drastic change. If it's not, it's supposed to be like, hey, I just became sexy. I think the drastic change is a little bit too much. I mean, it actually makes him look like a different character. Oh, looky. Hello, chibi looking guy. 2 nights have passed since Mion and I escaped into the forest. Bulk must be panicking right now. Not over Mion's safety, but rather the outcome of his war. Once he flipped Melody way upside down, he would most likely send men to search this forest. Damn man, 2 nights. So they haven't been going terribly long, but definitely noticeable. And I don't think because Mion is pretty much Locke's treasure per se. It's one of the things that keeps his power train going. If I had fled on my own, perhaps I could have started a new life in some other village. Mion, with her cursed sight, would receive zero welcome regardless of where she went. No way would I leave her behind for my freedom. Neek, with this golden word, had promised to figure something out. Well, he did erect half a dozen strawmen around the camp to keep those birds away, so he sorted that problem out, at least. I'm gonna love how those birds fear the strawmen more than Neek himself. Yeah, look at this, see? I don't think it actually changed. They just tried it. I think they just made it like, hey, I'm look cooler. I'm older than I actually am. Woo! I think it was too drastic of a change. It just made the character look out of place. It was too drastic, like it wasn't still him, like it was a different character, like could have been his older brother or something. Despite having no plans about the future, Neek still wore a smug grin as he held a screwed rabbit in each hand and waved them in my face. You only caught one last night. Here are two. So, snooze you lose. Rolled my eyes. Cool story, champ. I might let you cut them open as well then. Neek's face twitched upon hearing my proposal. As a servant, I had done just about every dirty job out there, unclogging toilets, cleaning roach nests, and of course, butchering animals in the kitchen. Neek, on the other hand, seemed to faint at the mentioning of blood. He might have Mion and Zulu charmed, but I had serious doubts about his whole warrior act. Seems like he might be just some little knight, one of those little, when you see in like some animes and stuff, that knight pretty boy that you might not always think is as good as he might think he's all good and stuff, but he's actually not as good as a warrior as you might think. Feeling like I had the last word, I snatched Rabbit from Neek and marched off. He probably darted glances behind my back, but what the haters hate. As I cut the rabbits up with a knife Neek had brought to camp, Zulu peeked at me from behind a tree. This was the third time I had caught her spying on me. Perhaps she wanted to check if I was dripping poison into me. Well, that night, we gathered around the campfire to eat. Compared to what the chefs prepared for Mion back in the temple, we might as well be eating wood here. Praise the goddesses, nobody had gotten sick yet, with us drinking out of a nearby pond and all. Oh yeah, hell yeah. That is quite true. That I'm glad you haven't gotten sick yet. I mean, drinking water. Ooh. I would hope you have a little bit of survival skills. Drinking water outside, not really the best thing. Especially from a pond. Maybe a stream or something might be a little cleaner, but a pond, yeah, probably not the best water. A stream would probably be a little bit better than a pond. Moving water. Zilla spat out mouthfuls of meat from time to time. She did so in secret, probably to avoid hurting my feelings. Mion and Neek, on the other hand, spat them straight into the campfire. Damn, what, you made Offal's meat or something? Or maybe they just don't like rabbit. Once we finished eating, I said to Neek, "So, when will you tell us about this plan of yours?" "Just get ready to be blown away," Neek said in his deep voice. Convincing as always, that got Mion and Zilla sat in silence, no doubt captured by Neek's charisma once again. Maybe I should ask him for lessons sometime. I don't know, I don't really like the change of character. I don't know what they were trying to aim with it, but I just think it's too drastic of a character change. I don't really like that angle. It just doesn't seem the same. Zilla snapped out of her trance. I wonder how things about going in West... something's wrong there. Things about going. In Westaria, if I could force the war to end, I would. Anything to bring peace back for our nation. I think it's supposed to be, I wonder how things are going and are going about. Maybe it's are going about. In Westaria. Maybe that's what they meant to write there. Definitely something there as well. I'm starting to hit a few errors here. I think, in writing. Or did they just, to me, they seem off. Get that thought out of your head, Mion said. Even if we combined our powers, it would not be enough to bend an entire nation to our will. We would sooner die from exhaustion. Zulu bit her lip, looking like she wanted to cry. I'm sorry for being so useless, Mistress Mion. Sir Guy, really sorry. Mion put both hands over her hips, and to be honest, I want to do the same. When in doubt, it never hurt to apologize, but Zulu took things way too far. If she went to the bathroom when someone else needed to go, she might slice her throat as penance. Meek whispered in Zulu's ear, Should we get started? Zulu nodded, and after a bow, retreated into the tent with Neek. They'd been pulling the same stunt every night. Putting a girl alone in a tent, just what could be going on inside? Mion slapped me across the head. Get your mind out of the gutter. I had a feeling that's why she slapped him before I even got done reading that everything right there. It's like, what do you think you're thinking? Stop thinking that. I shrugged at Mion's accusation. Sure, I had no right to invade Zulu and Neek's privacy, but I feared they might be plotting something. Well, it does make it, kind of curious, like, what might they be doing? As Mion got up and walked off, I edged towards Zulu and Neek's tent, hoping to listen out for clues. As I drew near, I heard Zulu's laughter coming from inside. If Zulu could get through a day without apologizing, I could thank the goddesses for that miracle. I never imagined I would hear her chuckle like this. Just what kind of voodoo did Neek perform? I think I heard something. Neek's voice came from inside the tent. Uh-oh, time for me to bail. The next morning, I watched as Zulu failed over and over to catch the rabbits running around her. With the rain growing heavier, I feared she would slip and break her nose in a puddle. Unable to watch anymore, I asked, Need some help? Zulu shook her head vigorously. It's my turn to hunt today. Please, leave it to me. Well, I admire your determination. Oh, are you impressed? Zulu bounced up to me with a grin. She might have the cursed sight, but I guess she still likes praises as any child would. At least this beat having to hear her say sorry from morning to night. Sure, I'm impressed. Very impressed. I reached out to pat Zulu's head, but she had that veil on, so I had to settle for rubbing her hat. Zulu twiddled her fingers and giggled. Geez, why must I pamper the ones responsible for Sasa's death? I guess staying mad provided to be pretty tiresome. It might have been easier if Zulu was some loud dude with bad odor. See, this is why girls annoyed me sometimes. So you still have that girls annoy you sometimes. I know that, the ladies can get, kind of annoying at times myself. I understand that totally well. Like sometimes you just want to be freaking left alone. It's like, shut your mouth already. Right, alright, I don't really give a shit. I just want to relax here. Zulu regained her serious demeanor. Actually, Sir Guy, I've been wanting to talk to you, alone. That's why you've been stalking me. I shook my head at Zulu's blush. Yes, I've noticed. You make a pretty bad spy. Mistress Mion and I both have the cursed sight, but our powers are quite different. I can see into the past and even affect it to a small extent. Zulu gripped me by the arms. Sir Guy, I wish to learn about your history. Why me? With Zulu's cursed eyes leaning toward mine. The air felt heavy and difficult to entail. It took all I had to refrain from pushing her into the mud. You are unique, Sir Guy. Please, it will only take a moment, Zulu said. Calling me unique told me a grand total of nothing. Too bad for her, I had many secrets I wished to keep buried. Being sold by my family hardly counted as crowning achievement. The dark thoughts I held against my parents belonged to me alone. Zulu put on a defeated smile. Please accept my apologies for making such a sudden request. It's only natural that you feel uncomfortable, but should you change your mind, please do let me know. So what do you mean by how does she, how does she figure out your past? That's what I want to know. How does she do that? So she's like past, and Mion is basically can see the future. So that's her difference. Well, then how did she cause the past to change, or something like that? I'm trying to think. Or is there some other that's her advantage? She can alter the past. I don't know. Maybe not alter me. She says she can see. I don't know. I don't understand that. We'll see. This meant she would be hassling me again about this again. At least she asked for my permission first. But if she grew desperate, that courtesy might go flying out the window. After bowing at me, Sola returned to hunting, and at least her failed attempt to do so. Just what did she want to find out? At this rate, I might drown inside this pool of anxiety. Zulu showed up at lunch with no food to offer. Earlier came as a surprise, I must say, and the way she burst into tears was just none as unsurprising. I'm sorry for being so useless. Really, really sorry. Zulu looked ready to collapse onto her hands and knees. Nick put a stop to the madness by lifting her by her armpits. And she definitely does, say sorry a lot. Ellen trotted up to Zulu, looking like she had seen enough. As she raised her hands, I thought she might slap Zulu silly for being useless. I don't think that's what she's gonna do. Instead, Mion stretched Zulu's cheeks and pulled her lips into a smile. Sasa used to pinch our faces in the same way when we were little, even in depth. I doubt Sasa would fault Zulu for what had taken place. Well, I guess she might have learned a few things from Sasa. Mion came into this forest with the heart to forgive as well. I, on the other hand, harbored enough hatred to make Loke look like a saint. Imagining Sasa's disappointment made me hang my head. Stop hating yourself so much, Mion said. Zulu managed a small nod, and Mion let go of her face. Zulu loathed herself to this extreme. Even I had trouble holding onto my grudge. I'll find some food for you all, Neek said, his voice going real deep. You have my solemn vow. Mion and Zulu fell speechless once again. If Neek walked into a room filled with teenage girls, the fight for his affection might be more terrifying than the war between East and West Taria. Nonetheless, this must be another one of his golden pledges. If his promise for food proved as reliable as the one he made about planning our future, might as well go nimble on some grass right now and call that my lunch. At least Neek did make a start by strolling off to hunt. Zulu, meanwhile, shuffled away in the opposite direction. She stared at the dirt underfoot while she walked as if looking for a pit to stumble into. Mion and I traded nods before following Zulu. Labeled us stalkers if you must. But should this keep up, I feared Zulu might hurt herself. As I walked, I suddenly felt something with legs landing on my head. I counted at least 6 legs, tickling my hair. It had to be a spider. One big enough to cover my entire skull, no less. That's a freaking huge-ass spider, man. Especially when you're pretty much about a grown man. Well, I guess not a fully grown man, but yeah, probably still a little bit of growing left. But just about. With a yelp, I frantically brushed both hands across my head. Roaches, whatever, spiders. Get it off! Get it off! Especially those forest ones, which could be more venomous than Mion's mouth whenever I messed up her ritual. Mion reached for my head, clearly unaware of how dangerous the wild could be. Relax, it's a tree branch, Mion said, waving the stick at me if Zulu found a pit to fall into. I wondered if she would let me join her. Life had become a little too mean for my taste. You thought I was a spider? It's just a tree branch. It's just a tree branch in your hair. Zulu came running in our direction. Did she see what happened and wanted to come and laugh in my face? Judging from her grin, that certainly appeared to be her intention. Mistress Mia! Sir Guy! Zulu shouted when she caught up to us. I found something. Come, come! Zilla dragged Mion and me by our wrists and led us to a pond filled with fish. See, there are plenty of fish for us to catch and eat here. Zilla bounced up and down by the pond. Mion and I had held her hand to stop her from slipping into the water. As long as you're not the one catching them, I mumbled. Zulu stopped jumping and now looked like she wanted to walk into the pond and drown herself. Mion stomped on my foot, making me change my tone. But wow, what a discovery! Mion and I gave Zulu's hat a good rubbing. Zulu beamed, clinging onto every praise like a soldier preserving his rations. Jeez, what a handful. She seems like a little kid to me. I actually think that is a good place where we can end the song. So, we don't really know too much about Zolu, but maybe we'll learn a little bit more. I mean, so far, we have moved off into the forest, we're in a tent, and what are we doing here? I have no idea. We basically have run away. What is the rest of our life going to look like? Is there going to be like another mini years jump or something? Like we're on the run? We got 2 people with abilities, and you got Guy and the other dude who are going to be protecting these girls. I mean, they don't seem like bad girls, even though they have this power. They both seem... I mean, we don't really know too much about Zulu yet. But she seems like a nice girl. Young, but nice. I like the blue hair. I'm not gonna lie. I like the blue hair. It's like you kind of have to imagine what the rest of their face looks like behind those veil. But I'm imagining they're pretty cute. They could be pretty cute girls. Oh well, guys, I want to thank you guys for watching this. Feel free to leave a comment in the comment section if you want. In the description, I will have a link to this game to if you want to check it out. I'll also have a link to where you can check out more of my stuff if you want to do that. And again, guys, I want to thank you for watching this, and you all have a great day.